I'm Prophet from MetaDAO.
And I'm David from Ownership Ventures.
We're here to talk about a Hot Wheels Gacha machine raising $250K on Futardio. What's going on there? Why is the GP of Ownership Ventures raising on Futardio? What's the story?
So around 2 months ago, I published a research on X saying that Hot Wheels might be the next meta after the Pokemon and TCG. And the story starts in a Target store where I was supposed to buy a couple of Hot Wheels for my son. And then I stumbled upon a 40-year-old guy just going through each and every car looking for something, right? And I was like, what's going on? So I came back home, I did the research, and I realized that like every big box of 72 cars has one super treasure hunt in it and a couple of treasure hunts. So example would be this car is a super treasure hunt. It has special wheels. It has special paint on it and a lot of like other detailing, right? So this car would go for $88. So if you find it, it's usually $1.2, and then you can flip it at $80 on eBay. And then there are like super treasure hunts that you could flip at $300, right? And then I realized and I found out that there is also the RLC Club, which is this like kind of collector grade cars, which you can buy online. And the special ones usually sell out in minutes. This one goes, for example, for $180, right? And then there are like, $500, like $1,000 cars as well. So I got really excited about it. I realized that the market is huge. It's $1.7 billion in primary sales. And there is like kind of very small secondary market, only $100 million and like zero gacha, of course. So then we started to look for entrepreneurs building in the space. We didn't find anyone, right? So we thought that while the fund is in the formation stage, why don't we just build it ourselves and put ourselves in the founder shoes on Futardio?
I want to drill into a few things. One of them being the market, the gacha market, and then also the Hot Wheels market, and then what you plan to do with the funds, like how you're going to scale. First, let's talk about gacha as a whole. Like how much are gacha platforms making right now, and then how much of that is on Pokemon versus the other like watches and One Piece and whatnot?
First, let's talk about Pokemon. It's a 2 to 4 billion primary market. And then we have around like $10 billion in secondary. And then we have like $2 billion in gacha. So out of all of it, talking about gacha, probably like 80% at least is Pokemon because it's the most popular. Then we have One Piece and Magic the Gathering and some other like niche TCG plays. What's important here is that the secondary market is around like 5 times bigger than the primary market, right? And that's not the case with Hot Wheels. Like with Hot Wheels, it's 1.7 billion primary and only 100 million in secondary. So we believe that from here, it could go 40x. And then there is like no existent gacha business at all for Hot Wheels, right? So we think that we could actually play in both, but our primary focus is gacha for the beginning.
So basically, courtyard of Hot Wheels.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about 250K you're raising. What are you going to spend it on? How are you going to reach users? What's the go-to-market strategy? I imagine raising on Futardio is actually probably part of the go-to-market strategy, right? There does happen to be a high overlap between people who hold crypto tokens and people who use gacha machines. But yeah, I would love to hear you unpack the use of funds.
First, I want to say that it's pretty tight and it's a very small amount. The goal here is to find PMF probably like within the first 3 to 6 months, right? 250K is a runway for 9 months and it includes inventory, 50K, around like 30 to 50K for advertising. Then we have like inventory management. We're going to have a warehouse. We'll need an accountant and then like design and engineering, right? So right now we aren't really spending any money out of it on actual management and stuff like that, right? So the idea is to run with a small budget, go to market. As you said, one of it is Futardio. And I think like we're going to be able to get a lot of eyes on us through that. But then, of course, we would like to run TikTok and Instagram and like maybe partner with a lot of content creators, right? So our first ICP are basically people that already know how it all works, that are trading Pokemon and other tokenized TCG products. So that's our first ICP. And then like after that, we're going to merge into the collectors of Hot Wheels through different conventions.
My last question is, what do you think are the biggest risks? I mean, I think part of what made you comfortable with raising on MetaDAO is obviously like attaching a token to yourself can be stressful, but here I think like if it doesn't work out, we can liquidate and people get some chunk of their money back. What do you think are the risks to the business? I mean, I imagine a big one is just like people don't want to play a Hot Wheels gacha machine.
Yeah. But so far, out of people that I've been talking with, a lot of them are very excited about it, right? So it gives me hope and a confidence that it's going to be a really good product and a lot of people are going to be actually playing the gacha machine. One of the parts of it, like at least at the beginning, is that warehouse management and inventory management takes a lot of time.
Right.
There are some grading companies, but it's not very common in Hot Wheels. And that might be like another opportunity for us to get into in the future if the business grows like really big, right? So there are like a lot of low-hanging fruit, I would say, with Hot Wheels, where the company and the business could be made, right? But for the beginning, I would say the hardest part is actually looking into the jurisdictions, the states, where should the warehouse be and how do we manage it, right? And we might actually partner with some other bigger platforms on that side. So that's also an option for us.
I think that pretty much covers the business. I guess one thing I want to mention is that the plan is, if it's successful, obviously keeping all options on the table, but to find another manager so you can spend time on ownership ventures, right?
That's the plan. So my big vision for it is that we're going to launch it probably in August, right? And we're going to see how the numbers run throughout the first 3 months. If it's going well, we might raise another round. And that's when we're going to appoint a new manager for it, right?
Makes sense.
The market is there. We're going for it. And I think it's as exciting as it could be.
Well, thanks so much, David, for coming on, and thanks for listening. I mean, I know I'll be participating.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Prophet.